Mr. Chapman, is that you? Okay. Let's start with you, Mr. Chapman. I've got you here registered on behalf of yourself and registered on the bill. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct.
All right.
Thank you. My name is Brice Chapman, and I'm from Lubbock, Texas. I'm a trick roper and a horseshoer, and I've been performed for the White House twice for the President of the United States. And I was not paid to perform for the President. Concerning this bill, talk is cheap, and I don't know how much money it takes to steal, but it's my understanding it costs nothing to think about it. The fundamental principles of a judge is cold neutrality. Last I checked, that fundamental principle was free. And I'm supportive of a bill that will remove corrupt judges and public officials, but my concern of this bill is judicial accountability, where 2 retired judges out of the Court of Amarillo Court of Appeals unlawfully appropriated my ranch for a lake project concerning the Chief Justice for the Amarillo Court of Appeals named Brian Quinn, where he serves to reap about millions and millions of dollars off of my property, off of a void judgment out of a family law case where the judge was my wife's attorney. Brian Quinn owns the property in close proximity to mine, and none of these judges have been disciplined for this. I sent this to the State Judicial Commission, and they rejected my complaint. It is a valid complaint. This issue arrived out of that court in the 364th District Court, where I've had a death threat from a wanted poster. Ridiculous. Issued by the court, or the opposing counsel issued to the sheriff. The sheriff said he's going to shoot me to get me out of my house, and the SCJC dismissed this complaint. These guys are working in a political syndicate or combination where I was jailed for 580 days or more for no reason on a void judgment. I can't get the court to to disqualify the judge when he is constitutionally disqualified according to law. My place has been stolen. I've been threatened by opposing counsel, and the regional presiding judge, Anna Estevez, out of the 254th Court of Amarillo, she was appointed to assign these retired judges, and I informed her of this judicial disqualification. What I'm tired of.
Mr. Chapman, thank you for testimony. If I could get you to wrap up.
All right. Pay doesn't affect or shouldn't affect anybody's performance. It doesn't affect mine. And it should not affect the judge's performance either.
Okay, thank you for your testimony, Mr. Chapman. The chair calls Jacqueline Susanne. Jacqueline, I've got you here on behalf of yourself. You've registered as concerned citizen and technician for the Office of the Attorney General?
Yes, yes.
Are you here just testifying on behalf of yourself, though?
Just myself.
And you're for the bill?
I am for and support of House Bill 1761. Your
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Jacqueline Susanne. I'm in support of House Bill 1761 because this bill ensures judges are held accountable for the willful violation of the Code of Judicial Conduct, not frivolous claims. When frivolous claims are not frivolous claims, when there is a verbatim record and transcript that can be reviewed and investigated on by the SCJC. But violating these rules, this bill would ensure that judges are not violating the rules promulgated by the Supreme Court, hold judges accountable for judicial overreach and abuse of their discretion in cases where constitutional rights, fundamental parental rights, protected speech, and religious liberty is at stake. 2 Bexar County judges abused their discretion by overturning custody on temporary orders during a 45-minute hearing, overstepping the Texas Family Code without compelling state interest to do so, despite me being a fit parent, overturning custody by overriding an existing state order that gave me the exclusive right to designate the primary residence of my child without geographical restriction, a violation of Texas Family Code 156.006B1. Per this code, it is required to prove significant impairment in order to meet the higher burden when seeking to modify a final order that designates a custodian the exclusive right to designate the residence of the child. But yet there was no evidence of any impairment to my daughter's physical or emotional development while in my custody, thus violating my fundamental rights as a parent under the First Amendment and the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, because the decision was based alone on my religious statements with my child in my own home, encouraging her not to be afraid, encouraging her to speak up for the truth because God was with her. The judge granted custody both on temporary and on final orders based on religious statements alone, while in the execution of my faith, thus violating my fundamental right to raise my child according to my individual consciousness and the dictates of my religious beliefs, violating my constitutional right to free speech, exercise my faith in my own home.
Ms. Fennell, if you could wrap up your testimony, please.
I have no criminal drug history, never physically or emotionally abused any of my children. Judges are triers of fact and are required to take serious consideration of history as recognized under Troxel versus Granville.
Okay, thank you for your
2000.
testimony, Ms. Fennell. I've got to move on to the next witness. The chair calls C.J. Grisham. You're here on behalf of yourself, registered against the bill. Is that correct?
That's correct, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is C.J. Grisham. I'm against 1761, but not really. Just the Section 3 is my main issue.
Well,
I'm
mean,
against
I've got
the
to
bill
clear
as
that
it's
up.
written.
Okay, so the record reflects you're against the bill.
I am against the bill as
Okay,
it's written.
that's fine.
But I want to say that the rest of the provisions, other than Section 3, are very laudable, and I completely agree with. And without Section 3, would probably be in support of this bill. We have a problem in this state where we're constantly trying to go after people who have no other remedy than to file complaints or to file civil suits. And I don't see any bill here or any section in here where if a judge violates the state law, clearly established state law, that a citizen can sue that judge. But yet we're constantly trying to make it more difficult for people. I represent clients who my entire practice, y'all might remember I used to be a gun rights activist, now I'm a gun rights attorney. And my entire practice is about suing government officials who violate rights. I will tell you that people already have trouble because when they come to me, I say, just file a complaint with the State Commission on Judicial Misconduct. Oh, but then they're going to retaliate against me because I have a divorce in there, or I've got this, or they're constantly doing false charges against me. All this is going to do is create that prior restraint of people that want to exercise their right to complain, because now they're going to be facing, oh crap, do I have money to, what if it's false? What if they find against me, which they do all the time? I had a judge literally tell me when I quoted him the law that mandates what a judge should do. I quote, I don't care what the law says. There's no way in hell he's getting his gun back. That's a quote. What do? We can only file a complaint. That complaint went nowhere. Yet I can't do demand civil penalties of $250. This is a section. If we take out that section, judges do need more money. I agree with everything else on there. But we're creating a situation here where citizens will feel uncomfortable being able to complain against judges if this passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grisham. Appreciate your testimony. The chair calls Tom Cam. Tom, I have you here on behalf of yourself, registered on the bill. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there's two parts of my presentation. I'll present the first one first, and if there's time, we'll do the second. Our family just finished a 14-year, $250,000 journey through the Texas legal system. It started out in the Dallas Probate Court. The Dallas Probate Court being the most crooked courts in the state of Texas. Fortunately, on my father's case, it was sent to El Paso on the appeal. The El Paso court looked at what the Dallas probate court did and said, this is bullshit, reversed it, we win. Unfortunately, my brother's case stayed in the Dallas system, went through the Dallas appeal court. We lost the first time. 4 years later, we were able to take it back to the Dallas appeal court on a single issue, that the order by the associate judge in the Dallas probate court was never signed by the court. At that time, 4 years later, the Dallas appeal court said, you're right. It's not signed, it's not valid, we win. First question we asked was, 4 years earlier, we told you, we showed you the 4 laws that said it had to be signed, written at the level of 5th grader, and we showed you that it wasn't signed, and you ignored it. They ignored the facts and the law the first time it went through. After we won the second time, the attorney for the other side took it back to the Dallas probate court, again, the most crooked court in the state of Texas. Has the judge signed that order? That judge was not a judge at the time that order was created, and that judge had no idea what was in that order. Didn't even sign the original order, signed just a cover order for it. We took it back to the Dallas probate court, the Dallas appeal court. The Dallas appeal court said, well, now it's fine. Wait a minute, I'm 75 years old. You're telling me that an order by an associate judge who did not even have permission to be in the courtroom, The judge of record at the time refused to sign it because he knew that order was a fraud, was not signed within the 30-day limit as required by 2 Texas statutes. That associate judge was subsequently removed as a judge by the state of Texas 2 years later because the state of Texas deemed that judge to be incompetent. You're telling me now that that order, that bogus order that the original judge refused to sign can now be signed 9 years after a statutory deadline and be made valid?
Thank you for your testimony, Mr.
That's
Kim.
fraud.
Okay, thank you for your,
And your bill is too short. We have recommendations that'll solve it. You're just putting Band-Aids on
all right,
a
thank you, Mr.
fundamental
Kim.
problem.
Thank you. Members, any questions for this panel? Okay, thank you. Thanks for your testimony. Appreciate y'all being here today. The chair calls Katie Yarbrough, Steve Wofford, Charles Suze, and George Saldana. And then the final